Thank you very much, Law. We are ready for the first game of the day, Vitality versus Astralis. Now, just checking ready, you've got any boxes of Kit Kats under the desk?
No.
Okay, we're not prepared then, are we? Hopefully we won't need them. It's
I'm confident that our team behind the scenes have been able to solve a lot of our issues, and we're happy to have you all here again for week 2 of the LEC. Medic already ran you through our crazy new format.
Yeah, with the Ultra Glare and the finals place.
Yeah, very eloquent is often how I describe Medic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like after today, we're basically at the halfway point, right, of our regular season. And for Astralis, this is going to be a difficult one. They find themselves at 0-3 right now. They're in very much need of a win, whereas Vitality are on a hot streak. A rare case for Perks. Ever since he joined Vitality, he has struggled at the start of seasons.
He's never gone 3-0 at the start of the season before.
With Vitality. I think that was quite different, of course, when he was a part of G2, but ever since kind of going by himself, I said going by himself, that's not quite the right vocabulary I wanted to use. Ever since he went on a new adventure alongside Team Vitality, he has struggled, but right now he's looking great alongside his jungler. Perks and Bo seem to be that powerhouse duo that you have to be terrified of on this roster. And that's not to say that the other members on the team aren't performing either.
I agree with you, Vedi, and I think it is quite important before we get into this game that we decide on their duo name. Right? Is it Borks or is it Poe?
I like
Are they
Poe.
They're the scariest Teletubby.
I think they're the terrifying Teletubby.
Are we going to nickname the rest of the players as well?
In a call, you have the opportunity to go, here comes Poe! You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, just, you know, something to work with. Think about
I don't know if the Teletubbies were like a worldwide thing or if that's just a very British joke that we had there. Anyway, let's get into draft. Vitality on the blue side. Sejuani and Lucian their first bans. Astralis will get rid of the Rise. What do we see last week? We saw a lot of Caitlyn bans. We saw a lot of Yuumi bans. Hopefully we see that again. Importantly, we are still on 13.1. I will just preface that. No 13.1B here. We won't change patch until we get to the best of 3s. So we have 2 more weeks of 13.1 in the LEC.
Yeah, that is very true. So the meta shouldn't really change that much. The cool thing I will say about getting to stay on the same patch for an extended period of time is that the players can come up with some creative stuff. You saw it at Worlds, you've seen it pretty much throughout Worlds history as well, with things like when the tournament is so long spent on a single patch, creative players can come up with new things and new ideas. So we'll see if teams have come up with anything creative for this week. The Maokai will be the priority for Vitality. With Sejuani gone, Maokai is quite the threat. And last week we got to saw Razork's Maokai and the amount of poke damage that he threw with the Demonic combined with the Liandry setup. And the Yuumi Zeri will be
she's OP as all hell. Like, I understand it. I am well aboard the Yuumi hate train. I hate the champion. I don't think she's that enjoyable to watch or play. But if you're Astralis and you're 0-3, you go to the cat.
Well, now I'd love to see an aggressive bot lane come out from Vitality, because ever since I saw Hansama's Draven paired up with Mickey's Nautilus, I was like, this is how you deal with the cat, right?
Sure.
You don't try and match them with scaling, instead match with pressure.
Mind control your opponents into fighting you level 3. I've got him. I've got him.
Exactly. And Caitlyn Lux, I think, is a very aggressive lane that they can look to set up dives with. Something that we've been talking a lot about in week 1 was how bot lanes leverage their pressure to give opportunities for the jungler to invade. And for anyone that's ever checked out Bo's stream, would highly recommend. It's super fun to watch, especially some of the highlights of him in Champions Queue. Any form of pressure, he will look to use that to invade, and he will always find opportunities to skirmish. And the funniest thing about listening to some Bo comms is they'll sit there and go, careful, jungler's there, you could die. He goes, don't care. So he is full on prepared to fight and be aggressive. Meanwhile, Astralis, they will respond with comfort of their own. 1-1-3 often goes towards his Viego, something that he has a lot of proficiency on. We'll see which direction they go with, because right now Vitality have a lot of agency in the early game. They already have a pretty good set of scaling as well. It's going to be very dependent on what direction these solo laners end up going in as we move into the second half of the draft.
And of course, Astralis have a lot of scaling on their side. Zeri, Yuumi. Yuumi just generally as a champion scales incredibly well as the game goes on. Team it up with someone like a Viego for that bruiser. You have quite a bit of damage, but they don't have that much CC. And Viego does like it when his lanes have a bit of crowd control to set him up, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see, you know, a bit of CC from his other 2 lanes. The Jace getting removed, Silas taken away. There's the Fiora as well. Casante's still up and available. Astralis could R4 it here. It's a relatively safe top lane, although do you want to play it into Photon?
Oh, I didn't check the win rate.
1-7, I believe.
It's still 1-7.
Check it again, but I'm pretty sure it's 1-7.
Another quick
Interestingly, though, here's a fun fact for you.
You're right, yeah.
although Cassante is 1-7, he has 10 solo kills as a top laner in the LEC.
Oh.
There've only been 21 total solo kills for top laners in the LEC. So Cassante, who has lost 6 out of the 7 games he's played, is still winning lane and getting solo kills all over the shop.
Very powerful champion indeed. Aurelion Sol banned here for Dior. Now, I'm not one that actively tracks the solo queues of individuals.
I mean, you can.
But perhaps Dior has been playing this in solo queue. Perhaps this is some tech that I'm unfamiliar with. Or perhaps it's just Vitality saying, we don't know what to ban, just ban a champion.
Aurelion Sol is near the top of the list.
Yes, exactly.
So
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It was that or Aatrox. Those are the 2 options. But obviously, it could be something that Dior is bringing out in solo queue, as you say. Haven't seen it too much, but maybe just preparing for his rework as well. Very strong in TFT if you play a threat comp, so maybe they just have a few nightmares about losing some Fortune's favor games. There's the Gnar into the Cassante top lane. It's a common answer into it. The range helps you out just a little bit in the laning phase. Syndra in the mid lane as well. Good scaling, good like Vitality have a very nice composition here. A lot of poke, a lot of follow-up for the Maokai engage if they need it, and then alongside that, just good scaling as the game goes on.
I would say it's very well-rounded, straightforward. You have a lot of pick power, a lot of single target damage. When you look at Syndra's burst, when you look at Caitlyn Lux traps, you can basically one-shot a single target very quickly. Drafting Twisted Fate here, it's pretty interesting. Normally when you are going for a Twisted Fate, you kind of want to set up for a strong side lane threat, which definitely Cassante can be. And perhaps it's just about trying to match some of the pressure that Bo often puts out on the map. But yeah, a little bit surprising because in lane it can be quite difficult to manage. Of course, Twisted Fate did receive some buffs not that long ago. I believe it was even on 13.1, where the blue cards and the red cards got their scaling improved just a little bit, along with the wild cards cooldown reduction being reduced, the thing that you max first.
They're going to swap, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah? Yeah, there we are. Okay, cool.
There's no way Pokes would ever play Lux. Sorry. No. There's no shot, especially when he's so well known for his Syndra. Yeah, on paper, I think that Vitality have a lot more agency in the early game. It's much easier for them to do things. Maokai, the Flash W is just such great gank setup that it gives you a lot of agency in terms of making things happen on the map. But I will say a lot of single target, a lot of great pick capabilities from the side of Vitality. I would argue that I think that Astralis do have a little bit more scaling. Twisted Fate, once you get the rapid fire, once you get a little bit more items under your belt, really great tools to like catch opponents off guards on a side lane. But also when you have Yuumi Zeri, you know, like the team fighting prowess of this can be very lethal. But again, a lot of lockdown on the side of Vitality. The thing that I'm concerned about is just a matter of how does this team do in the early game. We're going to find out very soon as we jump into our first game of the day, Vitality versus Astralis.
Let's get on into it. I will say, Jonathan going for the Airy here on the Yuumi. We have seen a Guardian Yuumi, and I can't remember who played it, but they had 500 gold on their ward item at 5 minutes into the game. They only missed one quest prop through the entire first 5 minutes. I believe it was in the LCK. And what you do is you just auto-attack harass. And it's what Freak talked about. And the reason that Yuumi is so strong in pro play is you actually don't want to be mounted that much of the time in the lane. You auto-attack harass, you get a shield back, and you get the auto-attack down. You can out-trade a Draven with an axe at level 1. But here, Jonathan going a little bit more defensive, which makes sense into a Caitlyn and a Lux, because if you're outside, you can be bound. And if you're sitting on top of Kobe, you can't be bound. So it's a slightly easier situation for the cat wants to avoid that cage.
Very true, very true. We are seeing a few more of the... I call them by their colors because I don't learn names for things.
Sure.
The only one I actually learned was Moss Stomper.
Oh, if you're talking about the red jungle item, yeah, Pokemon, man.
No, I feel like
choose
we're
a red
gonna
Pokemon,
get in trouble.
Oh, guys are here. You can trade onto. Does have the heal, Ignite ticking onto him.
So Yuumi. That's basically like being bullied by a Draven, is what you're telling me.
She out-trades at level 1 with auto attacks a Draven. Or she did on like 13.1. And if I'm misquoting Freak, then I apologize, Freak, but you're no longer a caster, so you can't say anything about it. Yeah.
He's not going to be up early enough to watch.
Exactly.
But yes, of course. Let's see. Already early trades going in favor of the bot lane for Astralis. Perks leveraging his level 2 to get a bit of pressure in the lane. As you would expect, Twisted Fate at the early levels, even with Syndra having changes made to her, where her early laning phase is definitely not as potent as it used to be. Against the Twisted Fate, it's all relative, right? You know, Twisted Fate is not the best laner himself, at least until he's got a couple more levels under his belt. His trading will continue up towards the top side of the map. All in all, nothing too crazy going on. Both junglers, you can see, they did try to get a bit of information early on with their wards littered down. You can see on the top side river, 113 dropping that ward, along with that early vision invested down towards the bot side. Basically told each jungler where the other one is starting. Exactly what they're doing. So, full clear from top to bot. Looks like nothing too crazy.
Yeah, 113 skipping his walls, going straight blue Gromp. Maybe we'll look down towards the bottom lane a little bit earlier. Might have just wanted to get the blue slightly earlier, as you say. Snapchat going down onto Cobby, chunks him out, and the Astralis bot lane has been one of their shining lights. Cobby specifically, across the course of week 1, had a very good game in game 1 on that Xayah. Now they really need to step up if Astralis are going to get out of this hole that they've dug for themselves, or has been dug for them by their opposition in week 1.
Well, seeing as we are off to a pretty slow early game, let's talk a little bit about Perks. Because he's a player that last split, he did receive, well, a lot of acknowledgement, I think, for his play, but things kind of fell short. And he's a player that often, I'm not going to say goes underappreciated, but he doesn't get MVPs in Europe. And what we wanted to highlight was often his junglers get MVP. Often when he is paired up with a very talented jungler that is showcased to have a lot of impact, especially in the early game, it's the jungler that actually ends up often getting that MVP over a player like Perks. And that's not to say that Perks is an incredibly talented mid laner. Often he finds himself within the All-Pro top 3 at the very least. But it is often he, alongside his jungle, but the jungle is the benefactor. And speaking of that jungle...
Cobby cleanses immediately, Bo going in here, Jungkook trying to get back towards his AD carry, but can't get close enough, dodges the light binding. The wave is being frozen, or caught at least, by Vitality between these two towers. Cobby will back away. Let's see how many minions Astralis lost, but with Jungkook actually being off, he can hold the wave here. Means that Cobby shouldn't lose out too much in this bottom lane.
Okay. So Bo already threatening a dive very early on. I think it's good to see, especially from Maokai. Like, there's not really much else for you to do on the map. You have pressure on the bot side, and they will get a cleanse out from Cobby, potentially setting up for another play later on. Of course, Astralis aren't going to lose too much off the back of that. Fortunately, their wave is actually in a pretty good spot. If observers, we can very quickly just look at that wave underneath the tower. You can see that the wave hasn't quite crashed, which means that these waves, you know, it's going to sit around here for the time being. Cobby should be able to still pick up a decent amount of farm, with the wave actually still pushing in towards him. So, nothing too deadly yet for the Astralis bot lane, but Bo definitely making his presence known already in the early game.
And the risk is obviously that Cobby has now burnt his cleanse, right? And you're into a lane that has snapshots, that has the light binding. There's a lot of ways for this Caitlyn Lux lane to hold you down, and Cobby has flash and he has the dash, he's got the heal, but if you are caught in a single trap, because those cupcakes look just so darn delicious, it could spell Cobby's demise down towards this bottom lane. 113 shadowing around mid right now, could go down towards bot, but instead looks like he's pinging his Gromp. He wants to continue to farm. Dayor TPs to mid. Obviously does have the Destiny in about, 3-4 minions time. And he'll be fine as soon as he gets that level 6.
We were talking about Perks earlier, you can already see the advantage he's built up. Finn is looking for a fight.
Photon's going to
respond. Okay.
That's what happened. Summoner for summoner. Yeah.
I mean, I would say that Cassante at level 6 has the ability to kill you. And I think that Photon said, you know what? Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm going to respect that. Okay, cool. Have a nice day.
He's learned from the 11 solo kills last week.
Like, you know what? Let's not make it 12.
Yep.
Cool. All right, then. You know, I was kind of expecting Bo to kill more people at this point.
I mean, he has been pretty good at doing that. Let's just bring up some of his stats from week 1 alongside Perks. 4.7 kills and assists at the 14-minute mark. Now, we are only at the 6-minute mark, but we're only 6 out of 14 on the way there.
8 minutes left.
But 4.7 is a lot for a jungler, tied first.
He's involved in all of the kills, which is kind of crazy.
And he's close to his team the most out of any jungler in the league. That's what team jungle proximity means. It's like, how often is Bo near one of his teammates?
And again, we wanted to highlight Perks here as well, because it's not all about Bo, as I say that.
Oh, Dale going in with the Destiny. Neon caught out here already. Astralis looking for a kill down towards the bottom side. The Dragon does get secured, but Cobby's already taken 1. They're looking for more as Bo goes in. He's only level 5, though. The knockback from Perks is beautiful. Dayor, no flash for him. Perks takes Jonghyun out of the picture. The cat will be removed from the equation for the moment, and overall it's a 1-for-1, and they're dragging over to Vitality.
Good initial pick there from Astralis. They were able to capitalize on the positioning of the bot lane and the fact that the focus was on the Dragon. You can see here that Vitality is slightly split. 1-1-3 ends up coming over the wall, is able to land the stun. The Destiny then comes through from Dior, and Kobe going over the wall basically creates this pinch onto the bot lane of Vitality. But the Dragon gets secured. Bo then finds himself in the back line, and with the arrival of Perks, Astralis is a little too afraid to overcommit. The ultimate comes through onto Jonghoon, and of course, only being a squishy cat, you can't really survive the burst of the ultimate. So it ends up being a trade 1-for-1 kills. But again, overall, I think that the benefactor here is this Astralis bot lane. You can see a kill did go into Kobe's pockets. He now finds himself with a 10 CS lead, which is definitely not where you want to find yourself if you're a Caitlyn. And he has a level advantage thanks to the wave state that they found themselves in earlier. So overall, Astralis still have their win condition healthy and alive, ready to go. This Zeri Yuumi hasn't really been shut down as of yet. And of course, still a lot of the early game left to go, but Astralis definitely still in this game with the gold still very even.
And Bo has finally got on the board, you know, 0-0-1.
True.
8 minutes, he's got 6 more minutes to get 4 more kills or assists. Yeah. So continues to be a menace in the early game. I will say Kobe's job later on in this match becomes pretty tricky because there's so much CC. Bow, Flash, Twisted Advance, you can cleanse that, but then can you cleanse the Nature's Grasp? Can you cleanse the Light Binding? Can you cleanse the Caitlyn Snaptracks? Then the knockback from the Cinder. There's a lot of opportunities for Vitality to try and catch out that Zeri. 1-1-3 is now looking down towards this bottom side. What we got in terms of summoners? Well, there's cleanse for Neon, Flash, heal for Kaiser. 1-1-3 coming in. Kobe tries to bring the Lightning Crash down. Already the stun is Kaiser, but he's going to jump away. Kaiser under the tower will get taken out. Kobe secures it with the bouncing shots. And it's another kill for the Astralis bot lane.
I wasn't expecting 1-1-3 to actually have the damage there. I thought that dive underneath the tower would have resulted in his death, but with the assistance of Jonghoon, he's able to get out. We've been seeing a lot of this coordination between 1-1-3 and Jonghoon throughout the split so far.
Yep.
Hasn't resulted in any significant win yet for Astralis, but a good early game. Once again, this investment towards the bot side of the map, mainly just punishing some of the positioning and minor mistakes, arguably, of Vitality in these pockets of vision that they were able to capitalize on. So props to Astralis. The bot lane now 2-0-0 on the Zeri. Bo is looking for something. Unlikely that he'll be able to get a kill off the back of this.
And Kobe still has Flash Cleanse, can also dash across that wall. Neon going forward. Kobe looking for him. Shot laser. Flash is enough! Kobe takes him. Nature's Grasp now used. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Perks unleashing the spheres of death on Dale, but not quite enough to spell his doom. 1-1-3 is shadowing that bot lane. Bo and Kaiser have to back away. Neon burnt his cleanse in that last affair as well.
Oh wow, another kill easily going over to Kobe. And Neon, he just expected Kobe and Jonghoon to have gone back to base.
Yeah.
Especially with the Maokai hovering. He thought to himself, why would he bother sticking around here? The reset makes way more sense, but as our observers are highlighting, completely in fog. Neon wasn't expecting even remotely. You can see Kaiser was still a little suspicious, but Neon definitely was not. Ends up getting punished for it. That's another kill going into Kobe's back pocket. Now he's really being set up for success. You can see getting closer and closer to that shield bow.
And it definitely needs to be a shield bow as well. You look at the outplay button coming out of Perks. He's already finished the first mythic of the game with that Leandries. Zeri needs to be kept safe as houses as the game goes on. Astralis, though, with a 500, 600 gold lead right now. They start up the Rift Herald. And it kind of smacks back to what Perks talked a little bit about in Medicheck, which was last week Astralis drafted themselves into a little bit of a hole. This week, we don't expect them to draft that poorly. Now, whether or not this draft will work out in the long run, we'll see. But Astralis still showing that in terms of individual players, they can match up with the best.
For sure. And I mean, Kobe, as an AD carry, he's a seasoned veteran at this point. Let's not forget his many years that he's had throughout various teams in the LEC, deciding to stick with Astralis for this year. 1-1-3, trying to set up the wave here.
Is it a wave or is it a particle for Photon as he gets shut down in the top lane?
And another kill is just funneled over to Kobe. They have the Herald that they can drop to just funnel even more plates into Kobe's back pocket. Finn, though,
going all out just this once. He's looking to kill off Perks. Perks still has the flash unleashed power. Finn, you don't win these! We finally found a champ that can stand up to Cassante.
I mean, you just made it easier for Perks. You reduced your health bar, he was able to stack up the spheres, and he had the damage to be able to get the solo kill down onto Finn. Perks definitely keeping things optimistic for Vitality. The gold remains dead even for now, but Perks is just dominating in the 1 versus 1. I just had a quick look at his stacks, and he's at 63 already, nearly 12 minutes into the game. Will be a trade of towers, but that, of course, the stacks does mean that Q and W will now be empowered from the side of Perks as well. It's that 100 mark, which will things really start to get lethal, because you'll have that execute on the ultimate as well. Regardless though, gold overall dead even. Vitality securing themselves another dragon will give them another win condition. But huge props to Astralis. They've played towards their strengths. They know that Kobe was a strong performer last week, and so far he's been funneled 4 kills. Absolutely massive for the Astralis bot lane, and again, a win here would be very, very big for Astralis.
Taking a game off a team that's undefeated so far is absolutely massive on the worst of days, but when you are challenging near the bottom, trying to get that 8th place, picking up a win against someone that isn't your direct rival helps you out so much. Astralis, though, still a long way to go for them. As you say, Vitality been stacking up those Drakes. Bo looking for it here. Final chapter coming out. 113 trying to get away. Does have that Heartbreaker. Can jump across the wall. Doesn't need it. 113 able to escape. Did have to burn the flash.
I think Vitality could have chained their CC a little bit better there. Oh, can they? Oh, not quite. Bo was looking for the interrupt, but wasn't able to spot out Finn in time, which means he's able to TP up to top. But yeah, we saw that the root from Bo came out just as the stun also landed from Perks, and then the ultimate came out from the Maokai. I think they could have chain CC'd 113 a little bit longer, but it may not have mattered because I don't think that they quite had enough damage. Just Kobe looking for a 1v1.
And Neon just takes half his health from the lightning crash. Kaiser coming in from the side will be able to help out his AD carry. Kobe and Jonghoon need to get out of here, though. You have the dash. Perks is on his way, and this tower obviously fell when Kobe moved up towards the top lane before. So needs to get all the way back to escape any clutches of the Vitality team. I am very impressed so far, though, by Astralis, and I will say, a lot of us came into this game, and you know, a lot of people have been thinking Bo's going to continue this undefeated streak that he's been on. You know, 13-0 across the LPL and the LEC, and LEC on Instagram actually said, "How long can Bo's win streak continue?" And I don't know if Vitality were confused or just a little bit pessimistic, because they said it's going to be 13 and infinity for Bo, which means he'll lose every game from now on that he plays. Till the end of time? Till the end of time.
Wow. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look from, you know, Vitality not standing up next to them.
They had faith in Kobe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so there you go. Some basic math for those at home. It's not normally how that works.
No. Infinity, you know, is what they meant. Yeah.
I see it now. I see. Yeah,
it's like the format. It's actually really simple, but you need to have it explained to you a few times.
You know what I mean? Just that. Just swap the numbers. There we are. Silly Vitality. Anyway, let's see if they can convert that into a tower. Right now, they have their eyes on this mid lane one. Perks is a threat, does have the ultimate available. Kobe has to be very cautious about approaching, and he will decide not to. Another tower goes into the hands of Vitality. Right now, there's no major objective for either team to play for, so we'll start to see these lane assignments split up. You'll see Photon slowly chipping away at this top tower. Meanwhile, Perks should path towards the bot lane, but he's actually making his way back towards mid. They're looking for a fight.
Nature's Grass coming out. 113. Extra moves being not knocked with the scatter. If Perks had hit that knockback, I think 113 would have been caught in the Nature's Grasp, but they weren't quite able to catch him. The movement speed from the Yuumi and, of course, from the Harrowed Path, I believe it is, for the Viego, that he could escape. Next objective you have to feel is this Chemdrake in 2 minutes' time. Astralis need to fight it. It would be sole point for Vitality. And although Chemtech Soul isn't the most impactful Soul in the game, the Rift does open up to a world of new possibilities. The flank potential that comes out of the
I would argue
cones.
taking away the Chemtech Soul away from a Yuumi.
Oh God! Yeah, actually, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I see your point.
Yes. Yeah. And also, I think the tenacity can be extremely valuable for someone like Kobe too later into the game. Ultimate, immediate flash from Bo. He realizes that, you know what, our team is not strong enough to fight from this position, especially given that Neon and Kaiser were kind of trapped awkwardly in the jungle. But Astralis, I like that they're looking to take more space in the enemy jungle. They're not afraid. They're leveraging the power that Kobe has right now. They're going to keep playing around it. Dragon spawns in around a minute's time, so this is good. They pushed out the waves. They need to reset. Spend some of that gold, but there's a window here for Vitality to get a little bit more on the map. Photon should be able to secure this top tower. Finn will be forced to catch it. He doesn't have the TP. Photon can now make his way down, or he can go back to base and potentially TP in. Looks like he has his eyes set on getting a little bit more gold. Let me have a look at how much gold he's sitting on right now. About 1,000 gold, so it does suggest to me that he does want to try and spend that before he has to go back to base. He has just gone into Mega Gnar, so this is something to consider, but it should be back up by the time the Dragon Dance starts once again. Yeah,
you can see Finn just catches that top wave immediately and comes back down to join the rest of his team. Astralis now trying to step forward, but they are slightly undermanned here. It's a 4v5 right now. Deo, of course, could use the Destiny to join up with the rest of his teammates. Vitality control the river, though, and Astralis, they're going to try and control mid lane, but with their bot tower down, their top tower down, and their mid tower down, the waves aren't always in their favor. And the poke potential from Vitality is pretty darn difficult to deal with. Look at this, Astralis, no vision. Nothing whatsoever. They'll spot this ward. They are the one to step forward. Can, of course, just use the Destiny for the vision it grants.
What I'll say is this Vitality team comp, very difficult to face check.
Yep.
Caitlyn traps, Lux binding, Syndra stun, Maokai W. There's a lot.
Saplings.
Yeah, there's oh yeah, of course, the sapling, the damage that can come through from those as well. There's a lot of obnoxious things that you would have to fight through just to even have a chance. But look at this, 17.5 minutes, 3 dragons already secured. We talked about how Bo, perhaps not the most aggressive in this game, but he's been on it when it comes to this objective priority. He sacrificed the Heralds in order to secure this Dragon Wing condition. Maybe they can actually get this.
They weren't able to get the eye open. 113 secures it, but his life will be forfeit. The Rift-Held Eye will sit there. Not taken by anyone. 113 was able to get it, but Smite not enough to save his own life. And Vitality now, 3 dragons to the good, as you say, 1,000 gold in the lead as well. And even though Astralis have this hyper carry, this Zeri, not really able to find an effective way to move her around the map. Her lack of range, her lack of ability to step up into the face of Vitality is really causing a struggle for them.
Well, I would argue the biggest problem Astralis actually have is their engage.
Yeah.
Like, how do you start the fight?
Sprint at them.
Right, and Maokai's like, sure. I would love it if you sprinted at me. That would make my life a lot easier. So I think the Vitality can just keep leveraging their range, and as long as they're smart about their objective setups, it's always going to be very difficult for Astralis to really approach. We're going to get a quick look back at this, and you can see that the rest of Astralis were just catching these waves. 113 was just left isolated. Good stun comes out from Perks. And this game really has been the Perks show, I would say. He's dominated in the isolated 1v1 matchup. He accrued a massive lead pretty much over Dior, and then he's brought that around the map, finding pick after pick. And while Kobe has been picking up kills everywhere, Perks has been doing the same. Look at that, level 13 right now. He has 2 fully completed items. The Void Staff secured second. Try and tear through some of that magic resistance that's being built up. And already sitting at 89 stacks. The 100 stacks is where you will get that execute. And production team highlighting 8.6k damage from the mid laner of Vitality. And this is why I think it was really important that we highlighted both Bo and Perks.
Yeah.
Because it is that Poe duo that has really given so much strength to this
Poe.
Vitality roster.
Well, currently they're in La La Land, as they are able to continue to close out this game. It was me that brought up the damage graph, by the way, if you're going to give anyone credit for this production team. I guess I'm part of it. Astralis trying to defend towards the bottom lane here. Dale going in, flash away. 113 coming in from the side as well. Astralis trying to fight this on 2 fronts, but the Heartbreaker away is not enough to save 113. Just surviving, somehow healing through it all. Even without the Yuumi on his shoulders, he's able to get out of dodge, and Astralis still able to hold on to some hope. Kaiser burnt, flash and heal to get away from that. Neon looking for the extra damage with the stopwatch. You got a snap trap, you got a tasty cupcake for him, blocked. Finn stands in the way, and Astralis' tower will go down in a few more auto attacks, but there's no wave here for Vitality, so they have to back away and look to fight another day.
Overall, a well-played fight, I would say, from Astralis. They are looking for the flank.
Do you see it? Oh, Kobe step forward, Lightning Crash coming out, cleanse away now. It's a 3v4, Astralis trying to bounce around this one as much as they can. The Unleashed Power not enough to kill off Kobe, and now the fight really begins with Photon! Just destroys them! Smacks them down where they stand, but the rest of Astralis are here to fight. 113 looking for one, he takes down Perks, Neon and Photon trying to get away. Dale sped up, Shirelius as well. Dodges the house, steps to the side. The stun card, the ward in the bush is enough to kill off Photon, and the chase continues. Spectral Maw just short a lamb's hair away from hitting onto Neon there. He's able to escape.
But it's a successful flank that comes out from Astralis. They're able to collapse onto Vitality and find a good number of kills. That early skirmish that happened towards the top tower burnt a lot of summoner spells, which means that Perks didn't have flash and Caitlyn didn't have any escapes. This meant that they could create this pincer. And what looks like a dangerous engage from Kobe, he's able to dance around beautifully. Uses the dash, forces the cleanse, flashes away, and now a lot of the crowd control has been used. Of course, Bo not in the fight means that Finn can just buy enough time for the rest of the team to join. 113 gets the initial pick on the backside. A great engage from Photon, but unfortunately it's not enough for Vitality, as Dior and 113 are still very healthy, and Neon and Perks are just forced to run away.
And importantly as well, Jonghoon was still on Kobe's shoulders when the second stun came out, that wallop from the Gnar. Otherwise he would have been stunned. It couldn't jump onto Dior, wouldn't have been able to get across towards his teammates. Astralis in the end do clean up a few kills, though still a very close game between these two teams. 200 gold in it. 40 seconds on the Drake. The Chem Soul for Vitality. They could just sack it, though. They've got vision up towards the top side. Maybe you say, okay, you take a single Drake, we'll take the Baron. Currently, they have the mid prio as Kobe pushes down towards the bottom lane. No TPs at all for Astralis because they burnt them in that previous play. Photon and Perks have theirs up, so much easier for Vitality to play the map.
Interesting. Vitality, as you rightly said, just focused on controlling the mid wave now. They have the right set on the Baron, and they're forcing Astralis into a choice right now. Made the correct call, Medic. They kind of they can play with Astralis right now. Astralis have to make the choice. Do you want to come contest the Drake, or do you want to come fight us for a Baron? We'll happily give you the Drake, but we're going to take the Baron in exchange. So Astralis, though, they're doing what they can. They've regained control of the mid.
I mean, I think the call is 113 does the Drake by himself. The rest of Astralis stay around this mid lane, right? You do have the Destiny.
But you have no vision.
Just
Observe
used
it,
it,
so you could just highlight. There you go. They've just thrown out
Farsight alteration.
Blue Trinket, yep. But Astralis, they can't see anything.
Perks is forward here. Final chapter, no flash on Perks. Dale trying to get him from the side as well, but can't get close enough with the Sun Card, the Light Binding. Blocks him in his path. Bo still on the Baron though. Kobe trying to step forward. Dragon taking Nature's Grasp. Comes out how much on that Baron? 7,000. What have you got? Any trinkets, any destinies, any way to
Perks
see?
hiding in the fog.
Perks looks for the double knockback, only gets it onto Finn. The Baron will be secured. Do Astralis still want this fight? The answer is no. The Sapling's slowing their advance.
Well played from Vitality. Astralis were in a sticky situation there. It was kind of a lose-lose, honestly. They could either come and fight Vitality on the Baron, but then remember what we talked about earlier. Vitality want to be on the objective first and then force them to come into you, right? And you saw how difficult it was for Astralis to enter an area where they had no vision, and when Perks could just sit inside those brushes, all the saplings, all the traps. There's so many annoying things on the side of Vitality that it's so difficult to approach. So Astralis made the best decision that they could in that moment, which was fine. We will deny you the soul, we'll buy ourselves a little bit more time, but of course, Vitality will gain a Baron off the back of that, and now they will use this to begin their siege.
Well, time has been bought, but at a hefty cost, it feels, for Astralis. Neon, the range advantage here, will be able to help take down that mid-tier 2. 4 towers to 2 in favor of Vitality. Also, a 3,000 gold lead for them right now. What does that equate to? Well, Perk's still only sitting at 2 items, trying to build up towards that Zhonya's. An item and a half for Bo as he's getting towards the Leandries. The 113 knockback, unleash power, not enough. Finn blocks a little bit of the damage there as he manages to escape, but the unleashed power will be back off cooldown relatively shortly.
Less than a minute.
Yep. It's pretty quick. Perks dodges forward from the Ultra Shock Laser. Photon trying to dash around here.
They do have to be careful though, Vitality, because Dior with the Rapid Fire Cannon, 1 stun card, good spell. Perks on Neon's demise. Of course, Neon does have the cleanse backup. Perks now with the flash, but it's not the easiest siege in the world. 113 actually looking for something.
Can't find it. Bo looking for something as well. Also can't find it.
Seems they're both lost in the difficult path that is life. But they they both have a clear direction, Medic.
Forward.
That is to win a game of League of Legends. Here's the ultimate.
Dale flashes into the stun there. Ultra Laser coming out as well. 113 looking for the stun as Perks goes in with a hard break in the final chapter over 4. Perks stops time for a brief second, but is it enough time? It's not. Kobe will take him. Photon trying to dash across the wall, but 113 has a cat on his shoulders and enough health to survive anything that this Gnar can put down. 113 dashing back, dashing forward. Photon trying to get in with a Mega Gnar, but even the Gnar is not enough to help him out. Astralis hold firm in their base.
Astralis find themselves with a massive kill advantage, but it's only bought them a little bit more time. Still, very well played fight and just a big overcommitment from Vitality. We saw Neon diving underneath the tower to try and get the execute onto Dior. That's really set up an easy play for Astralis to turn it around. So you see here the flash from Dior. He does get rooted up, and this is when Neon gets a little bit greedy and Perks oversteps. 113 with the immediate engage onto the backline. Forces so much HP away from Perks, and as you rightly said, a good ultimate comes out from Jonghoon. Means that Kobe on the back, very safe to freely deal damage. The hardest part of Astralis' composition is finding that engage, but the second that they do find it, it's very difficult to escape from this composition. And this is what we were talking about, right? It's a scary siege against this comp, because a single small mistake is the only window that this Astralis comp really needs to be unleashed and start tearing through the opposition. You can see Perks. Well, he does have the flash, wasn't able to use it, but again, a champion that has very low mobility overall against a lot of champions that have a lot of mobility can be very obnoxious to deal with. 6-1-3 now for Kobe, 1-0-6 for Dior, yet to die. Credit to him, considering how much pressure he was put under in the 1v1. Now the next dragon spawning in about a minute's time. Astralis already setting up their prep with deep vision around the bot side of the map.
I think importantly for that last fight as well, Photon just wasn't there until the end, right? He has a 2,500 gold lead over Finn right now. He is a lot of Vitality's lead in this game. In fact, the entirety of it. And if he's not there and Kobe is, unsurprisingly, Astralis are going to be able to win out some of these fights. However, with a minute on the Drake, Astralis will try and just push in this bottom lane, get themselves another tower. Bo could look for something here. Has the Nature's Grasp, but no flash for him. Makes it a little bit tricky for him to approach any sort of battle. Astralis continue to buy time like a chef at Christmas. See if they get some Sage as well as they go down towards this bottom lane. Perks still has the flash. The chase is on. Kobe going all the way in. The flash away from Perks, and that's all they were looking for. Yep. Jonghoon's ultimate much shorter than the flash from the Vitality mid lane. Yeah.
You can see the pings coming out from Vitality towards mid lane. They have their eyes set on this tower. They have the minion wave stacked up. The TP now coming in from Perks to rejoin his team. This is where we'll see the dance over this dragon. Can Vitality secure the soul? Will Astralis be able to buy themselves a little bit more time?
Bo looking for something. It's a dance of dragons. George R.R. Martin getting around to riding this one pretty quickly, it seems, because the fight might begin any moment now.
Yor has the ultimate, join at any moment.
Bobby chipped away at, but the zoomies from Yuumi helps him out just a little bit. The dragon pulled in once again. Photon, I think, just went mini, actually. Oh no, he's going to build up the Mega Gnar now as Finn steps forward. Final spark going down onto Deo. That's about half his health, but Astralis can reset, and they still have that Yuumi for the healing. Snap Trap's going down. There's a sapling there as well. How does 113 get into this? Heartbreaker forward, perhaps. Dragon down to 3,000, but Astralis don't want to put themselves in a bad situation. Finn looking in. The dragon taken. Chem sold for Vitality. Finn now on the backline, all on his lonesome, and immediately he is totally outplayed. TP away from Dale with that Destiny trying to catch the mid wave. Vitality will get the soul. What more can they achieve?
I feel like Astralis were just too hesitant there. They needed to try and leverage their double TPs, created a pincer movement, and not just fight this Vitality front to back, because now Vitality are going to get everything. The main front line of Astralis has disappeared. Vitality have easy access onto this middle inhibitor, and they're going to quickly convert it into a top one as well.
That might just be the death knell for Astralis, fight as they might. Unable to find their way into that dragon pit. The second inhibitor tower will fall. Kobe still here though. Dale looking for that gold card. Rapid fire can on the route. The final spark. The ace of the hole. Someone block it! Someone block it! I know we hate Yuumi, but you've got to protect your teammates. Jonghoon down, and now Vitality truly marching into the base of Astralis.
I think they're going to look to disengage off the back of this. They know that Baron is alive. If they overstay and die, it could result in a Baron. So they're not going to risk it for now, but Astralis, they're on the chase. They want to try and delay these recalls as much as possible. Neon with the traps, though, going to be obnoxious. But after securing a pick like that, it's going to be difficult for Astralis to really convert it into much. But wow, big blunder, I would say, for Astralis. You can just see, oh, we're actually going to get a replay of this top fight and this pick onto Yuumi. So just dashing back and forth. What happened to
There's the light binding, dashes into it.
Oh, you hate to see it. There's nothing you can do, Jonghoon. Nice binding there from Kaiser.
And that's the power of something like Caitlyn Lux, right? You just chuck him out. One moment is all it takes for Jonghoon to not be looking where he's going and just looking at his teammate. Doesn't see the projectile coming in and gets caught in transit. Astralis now 2 inhibitors down. They've pushed out the waves as best as they can, but it's 4 minutes before they respawn and that ward will be seen. They know that it's just been placed as well. Maybe hoping for Vitality to step a little bit too far forward. Bo. Afterwards, the smite going down there. Nature's Grasp as well. Photon tries to get onto the backline, but he is all by himself here. 113 separated from the rest of the team. Photon low, getting chased away. Kobe can't quite get in range to put the damage down. And the Chemtech Soul perhaps helping you out just a little bit. Perks goes golden. Photon back in, Narth, both back. Kobe already shut down. Deo next on the menu. And now it's Finn, Jonghoon, and 113 to do it all, but they just can't do enough. 113 stops time, but you can't buy any more of it. Jonghoon chased down to round it out, and Vitality will look to close out the game.
Exquisite play from Photon as he punishes the aggressors of Dior and Kobe. He waits for the right moment to throw out that ultimate and is very quickly able to combo them to set up Vitality to shut them down. Vitality, after 31 minutes, will find the kill lead, will find the Nexus, and will secure their 4-game winning streak.
4-0 for Vitality, 14-0 for Bo in professional play now. Vitality continue to march towards a showdown with G2 on Monday.
Overall, I would say like there were a lot of positives for Astralis in the early game. I liked how they enabled Kobe. I liked how they punished, I think, a lot of the mistakes that we saw from the Vitality bot lane. But their comp made it so difficult for them to really then enable Kobe, you know, in the fights later on, and we saw how the way that which they won fights was splitting Vitality apart when they were able to create these pincers where they could attack from all sides, or where they could catch people off guard with the quick Destiny from Dior. But in that final Dragon fight, when they were just looking at their opposition, the Caitlyn traps could just be placed, the Maokai saplings could come down.
When it's a pure front to back, Vitality always had the upper.
It's just so difficult for you to ever approach, and we saw that multiple times, right? The first few Dragons, the Baron, like every time you try to get close to this Vitality roster, if you were just trying to walk at them through the front door, they were always going to keep that door shut.
3 padlocks on it, one of those
exactly
deadbolts as well.
I think that this door also had like death traps, you know? It had like, it was firing lasers at you, like there was a shark tank, you know? It was crazy.
You had a game like that you really enjoyed. The one where you were evil, head of an evil empire.
Evil Genius.
Evil Genius.
It was Evil Genius 2. It was actually great. You could just make corridors of death traps. Shark tanks were my favorite. Fundamentally useless, but they were fun. Turns out sharks really not that interested in humans.
Understandably, I think. Right?
Fun fact. Anyway, again, it's frustration for Astralis because they find themselves at 0-4 right now. This felt like a game where there were multiple opportunities for them to convert it into a big win. But again, things just fell short and Vitality was able to get the upper hand. Huge credit to Perks in the early game. His Syndra was really a large part of what brought the damage from the side of Vitality. I think Bo with the engages was very solid, but really it was Photon that clutched up at the very end there with his engage. He really solidified the game win for Vitality because that could have been a big team fight win for Astralis, but then wow, Photon able to land a 3-man ultimate into a 2-man stun. Just the perfect combo to really round out the game for Vitality.
I mean, even the fight where they got flanked as well, he landed that ult into the wall that helped them out. He is one of your Player of the Game nominees at LEC on Twitter. Bo, Perks, and Photon. So we have, I also think Phobo, it's like people are scared of them because it's Phobo.
You could have Phobop.
Phobop?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the trio? It's like fake dancing. Or it's a song that sounds good, but actually isn't that good. It's a faux bop.
Honestly, it just reminded me of Bop It, you know, the game there.
Twist
it, bop it.
Perks it, vote on it. Doesn't have the same ring, but if Vitality don't claim that, that's a cold open one of these days.
Surely, you know? there's something there. You know, you just got to workshop it. This is a brilliant idea to start, Medic. You know,
what, on broadcast live in front of everyone?
It's just a small spark
seed of inspiration.
Burst into a flame of ideation and cringe more often than not. In any case, you don't have to hear from us anymore, so we're going to send it over to Law.
Yeah, thank you for this quick question, Kaiser. They were wondering, is it Botan, Photo? How would you call the
I like Botan for sure.
Botan for sure.
Best,
There you go. Well, we're keeping this one. What happened this game, though? It felt much more complicated than I thought it would be against them.
I mean, honestly, I just inted really hard on bot lane, right? Like, I think Kate Lux should win that lane really hard. I think I didn't really feel comfortable enough. Maybe I shouldn't have drafted it today. And yeah, I think it was mostly my bad. Like, just early game was just really rough because of that, and I think they had like a decent draft, like they had TF, right? And once TF hits level 6, we can't really pressure that much anymore, especially because we were not like far enough ahead in early game, right? But I think late game was, or mid game was okay.
Mid game was okay. Indeed, you were mentioning the draft. I wanted to ask about the Aurelion Soul ban from you guys.
Well, I mean, Perks just said like it's better if you don't ban anything, so I just might as well ban Aurelion Soul, right? And that's kind of it.
So I take that there's some confidence coming from your side if you feel confident enough to troll ban some champions?
Yeah, I guess you can call it confidence. Maybe it's like under preparation, but yeah, it was fine.
It was fine, turned out well in the end, and focusing on the rest of the schedule, you're going to have an interesting matchup against G2 Esports by the end of the weekend. Can you preview this one for me and the expectations you have facing them?
I mean, G2 is for sure a rough opponent. I think they have like the best early game of any team right now. But of course, they also pick the champions that like work for them, right? Like they pick the Draven, Ashe, whatever, right? That stomp bot lane, jungle comes and dive, you know? I think that's like their big game plan and has been for like the last 3 games, right? I think we kind of know what's coming. It's just a matter of like how do we prepare against it? Like what champions do we pick into it? Maybe that we can prevent them from doing it, or like just outscale them, right? Like it's just but it's a really rough opponent for sure.
It is a rough opponent, especially when I look at the bot lane. Even Hans himself told me that they think maybe they're the best bot lane right now you can find in the LEC. Would you agree in terms of playstyle and the synergy they have each other?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're the hardest bot lane to play against. Okay. I think, of course, a bit comes down to picks, right? Like, of course, it's harder to play against Kalista or Draven early game than other picks, but I think for sure they know how to punish everyone really well, right? Like they know how to stack waves, how to dive with a jungler. I think they have really good coordination, right? And even though he's like a rookie, right, like Yike, he's doing really well. And I think in general they have a lot of synergy and yeah, just playing really well together.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing what you can throw at them on Monday. Kaiser, thank you so much for this interview. Amazing again for Vitality this week. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes for the second game of the day, BDS Fnatic. Stay tuned.
You are push up, right? Yeah, push up. Let's just push and then I go mid, okay? So just wait for me right now.
Okay, okay. Never say fog about push mid and coming too much.
Okay, let's do Drake after.
Okay.